interesting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program, new things are actually happening. We have somebody who's actually stepping in acting capacity as the director and the chairman of Independence National Electoral Commission, right, as Professor Mahmood Yakubu is proceeding, on a leave because his tenure is actually, getting over by November. And to some, there's a lot of talks about that. What is actually happening? Is that what Nigeria needs at this time? Some people have talked about how the 2027 general elections is very important to Nigeria remaining as a nation, as a country. And to anybody who's heading a very sensitive institution of government like INEC, it should be somebody who is above board by every means. For now, we do not know if the president will go ahead to nominate Mrs. Mayor, who serves as the head of legal services of INEC, or the president has other plans. That remains to be unseen now. And also, we'll be looking at how political parties, how they can go into contest of elections and be able to file in candidates that will be able to understand the processes of the Electoral Commission and be able to lead Nigeria forward. It is done, right? One of the things we'll be looking at on today's edition of the show, as we hope to have somebody who's actually contested separately as a politician, trying to get into office and what it means for Nigeria. All of this will be explained tonight on the program. Let's go for a short break, and when we're back, we'll get straight to the discussions. My name is Ubon Musoro, welcoming you to Big Talk. So tonight on the show, let's first look at some of the trending political discussions that we have going on our spaces here in Nigeria. Let's take the first story for you tonight. It says new acting INEC chair takes over. National Commissioner at the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mayor Agbamoche Mbo, has taken over as the acting chairman of the commission. This followed the formal handover of duties by Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who is proceeding on a terminal leave. The transition was announced during the stakeholders meeting with resident electoral commissioners held today at INEC's headquarters in Abuja. We have another story for you now. ADC sets sight on 2027 victory, says failure not an option. So ahead of the 2027 presidential elections, the African Democratic Congress has declared that failure is not an option, affirming its determination to compete and emerge victorious. That's what ADC is saying. We'll take two more stories before we get to our discussion. We have a guest already in the house now. The next story. Natasha attends Senate plenary after suspension. So the Battle Senator representing Kogi Central, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan, today returned to the Senate after serving a 6-month suspension. The last story for tonight. Choose competence, stay accountable to Nigerians, Akpabio tells Senator. So Senate President Godswill Akpabio has charged lawmakers to embrace accountability, discipline, purposeful governance as they resume plenary today. Tonight on the show, before we get into our discussion, we'll be talking about Nigeria's democracy, working towards free and fair elections as it relates to the INEC, the Southeast politics, and politics in Nigeria as general. I covered the PDP publicity committee, one of the committees of the PDP, as they are planning towards a convention in Ibadan, Oyo State capital, on the 14th and 15th of November. And now let's bring the reports.
The meeting brought together top party officials and members of the Convention Planning Committee to discuss strategies for a seamless and well-coordinated national convention. Chairman of the Protocol Subcommittee and Governor of Plateau State, Galep Muswang, highlighted the importance of order, discipline, and attention to detail in organizing the convention. He assured party members that the committee is working tirelessly to meet expectations.
Sure that if you are going to have a smooth convention, the work of this committee becomes very important. We will be the ones to cross the T's and to dot the I's. If you see any meeting well organized, with a lot of ease and flow, is because protocol was well handled.
Chairman of the Convention Planning Committee and Governor of Adamawa State, Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri, praised the subcommittee's dedication. He said the upcoming convention will showcase the party's unity, resilience, and renewed sense of purpose ahead of future elections.
Is that the main committee will support this committee, knowing fully well that we know the importance the committee will play in this convention.
As the PDP intensified preparations for its national convention in Ibadan, all eyes will be on the party's leadership management of the process that could shape its political direction ahead of 2027. The November convention is expected to attract delegates, leaders, and supporters from all 36 states as the PDP positions itself for a stronger showing in the next general elections. Ubong Usoro for Global Television News.
On the show, we'll be looking at Nigeria's democracy, working towards free and fair elections. And we have Honorable Chika Okafor, who is a former Imo State House of Assembly aspirant, joining us tonight live in the studios. A very good evening to you, Honorable.
Good evening.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Sorry for all the stress you had to go through to be here.
Thank you for having me. And point of correction, not aspirant. I was a candidate of PDP.
Oh, candidate?
Yeah, PDP candidate.
Oh, right. And it seems your party is coming up. We'll talk about your party maybe as we get forward. But let's talk about the development where we may be having in the next couple of months a new INEC chairman. Yeah, some persons have tried to maybe play politics with it, but what we know is that legally, Mahmood Yakubu has served out a double 5-year tenure. That's 10 years in office, and constitutionally, he can't be reinstated. Somebody needs to be reinstated, and people have talked about the fact that why should the president be the person to nominate whoever takes over from him? But I like that you talk about his time in office, and you've been in politics, and the feelers from those in politics. Did Mahmood do well during his reign as INEC chairman?
Well, for me, like I said, thank you again for having me. My name is Honorable Chiko Kafo. Like I said, I was the immediate candidate of the PDP Obo State constituency in Imo State. Yeah, really, actually, Mahmood really has served his term. But the truth about the whole matter is, if we must be sincere to ourselves, most people are not happy the way and manner which he served his tenure. Really, for him, there are some good policies or whatever he brought on board, but for me, they didn't work. Like bringing IRF, all this, that, and other ones. But the main point is this: all the while, all this he introduced all these things, did they work? For me, they did not work. He has done his best according to his ability. But for me and for Nigerians, and more especially the younger generation, we don't think he did well. But we'll leave everything we'll leave him to his conscience. But for all I know, if I'm to say, he never worked to our expectation, the expectations of Nigerians, and not just politicians. Because for me, every country, like one of our friend Peter from Nigeria would say, everything lies in politicians. Every country, every situation, everything that works with a country begins with INEC, the judiciary, because that's where you elect all people to serve. And if you don't get it right from the INEC and probably the judiciary, trust me, everything will be going wrong. But I am just praying to God Almighty for the new person, whoever that is coming on board, just to maybe, yes, Jaga really did well. You know, when Jonathan appointed Jaga, he never knew whom he was. Because people clamored, they wanted a neutral person, somebody who is credible and all the rest of them. And Jonathan, out of his way, without minding that he was on that election, he went ahead and nominated. So I am praying also that our dear President, Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, to toil the same way that Jonathan did. Because for us, all we are talking is how to build a very strong institution, not just about ourselves, but to get Nigeria working again. Thank you.
Right, so that's actually been a very comprehensive statement about his time in office and some of the things. But let's look at some of the reforms he tried to bring, right? We had the IRF and we had the portal where election results were uploaded on the go. Although at the final stand, right, we're meant to understand that it wasn't, you can't call results from the portal, but it only added, to give credence to what was manually written. So we had that the manual superseded, and a lot of Nigerians had, thoughts about that. And it was also defended because there are areas that, they said they didn't have network in those areas. So how would you, without the manual, how would you upload elections on the go in those areas? I like that you just share some thoughts on that.
Well, for me, it's just like what we said. You cannot just say you're going into something without knowing or practicing over it to know how it's going to work. He told Nigerians they were already prepared. I know how much that was spent, that was pushed on that area to make sure all these things works. So it's just like if Goodluck Jonathan wasn't a good person, imagine a whole president going to, okay, that was during Jawa, I don't think it's, because when he went to vote, I think during the voting, this thing didn't work. But that's by the way, that was in a different era. But in the portal and the IRF, you did the test running before everything and told Nigeria that you are good to go. And I know how much Nigeria invested. For me, I think all those things are games, because if they want it to work, because it will work. Definitely it has been working in even all these small African countries. How much more Nigeria has a bigger brother? But it's just that we don't want it to work, because all these things, they knew what it is. It's just because it's what they wanted. But I pray this time around, whoever is going to take to come on board to take over him will do the right thing. It's just the zeal and the ability and the will to do the right thing. If they decide to do the right thing, trust me, what's there? Technology is all over, and it's just to tell yourself that you want to do this. And if they tell themselves they want to do this, and it will work. Definitely, you know what I'm saying? It's just like when GSM was coming, people said that, well, GSM would never work in Nigeria, this won't work. But when Obasanjo meant it and everything, you see everything going well and working well in Nigeria. They know what to do. Even if they are, when you are, just like when you were talking about the network, they can use the bank server, all these things, they know how to connect it and give Nigeria the best of election. It's just they are not ready. But I pray this time around, they will do the right thing.
All right. So there are also talks about the president and that right he has in nominating who becomes the next INEC chairman. And it seems like you are walking a banana peel, right? And people have even talked about Nigerian presidency that there's so much privileges and powers concentrated in the president or in the office of the president. Do you think it's right for President Muhammadu Buhari? Muhammadu Buhari. The president we have now is Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Yeah, to nominate the next INEC chairman.
Well, in fact, before I came here earlier today, we were discussing this thing somewhere. You know, I mean, how can you be a referee in your own game? You know, it's unfortunate. Nigeria needs to build strongly on their institutions. Because how could you tell me election that you are going to do? Imagine you now today, you are doing something and you going to go against you. Actually, it is, I wouldn't say it's Tinubu's fault, but I mean, that has been something that's been on board. But I'm talking, I'm saying, even both the Senate or the people that are in charge to do this should look into this constitution to make sure that all these things, whoever is coming on board as a Senate, as a INEC chairman, shouldn't be appointed by the president. Because definitely there's no how, if I am the sitting president and I appoint you to be my investor, and tomorrow when you are asked to come and work, you will come and work against me. It's not possible. A lot of people have been discussing about this. We should see what we can do about it to make sure, look at an institution that we can be stronger, that can, you know, produce somebody who becomes the INEC chairman, so that whenever the person is coming on board, he will be neutral and do things in a normal way or normal manner.
Right. So let's talk about the evolution of our democracy, because I'm going to be taking you as we further the conversation towards your experience in contesting elections in Imo State and what you think about the Nigerian democracy. But let's talk about, because we just finished, some people are still celebrating independence throughout this month, right? So how far do you think we've come looking at our elections from 1999? Because I remember a time where we used to talk about snatching of ballot boxes, and it seems we don't really have that again. We used to talk about assassination of politicians, and it seems we don't have that again. Have we made credible progress in our democracy from 1999 till date?
Well, in all fairness, I can say that yes, there are a little bit improvement, but I mean, at our stage and level of Nigeria today, looking at these small countries all around us, they've gone far beyond us. And we expect more, we expect better, you get. But looking from 1999 to date, like yes, snatching of ballot box and so on and so forth, yes, because of the introduction of the IF and all the rest of them, yes, it brought down the snatching of ballot box. You know, the rigging came a little bit, but I mean, it's just that we don't, like I said, it's the will to do it. If we want all these things to stop, you know, but I mean, it has to start from the top. When, you know, when our people, if our presidents, if our politicians say they don't want this, they want this to stop, trust me, it will stop. You get what I'm saying? And all these things that are happening, I'm just trying to beg and plead on them. This is not a good example for our younger ones, because when you do all these things, likewise now if you see some students in school doing exam malpractice, we are all complaining, but we go out there, do it in the election, and they are looking at us, and at the end of the day you expect them not to do exactly what we are doing. No, that's not a good thing for our young generation. I think we need to change our game plan. We need to change our ways, the way we do things in Nigeria. Right from 1990, like you said, I wouldn't say, even if I am to say, if I look beyond during these eras of Zeke, it was far better than what we're having now. But I pray, because the only thing that I can say that is different today is the technology. Yeah, we have enhanced our technology. You don't do things in the manual way or the olden days. But coming about credence and all the rest of them, I think I prefer the old ways. But coming about technologies, yes, I can take the technology of today because we have really improved in so many things. So I pray that our rulers, our leaders should show example to the younger generation, to our younger ones, which I'm proud of them actually. Though I have not been given a power opportunity, to serve, but I believe one day the opportunity will come and I will, play in my own quota and tell people how things should be.
Right. So of recent, we've been having a lot of defections. People seem to be defecting from the PDP. Although the PDP has also talked about rebranding itself, going on, but we still have a lot of conflicts in your party because, for instance, in Akwa Ibom, my state, we have a state executive council of the PDP. Who Onyeka Anakpan, who is the leader, and we saw later from the chairman of the party, who was conveyed to the press by the publicity secretary of the party, that a new stakeholder committee has been elected to lead the party in Akwa Ibom. We see, counter Sam Anyanwu saying no, I don't accept that and all of that. So those hitches here and there. So let's talk about these political issues going on with the PDP. Do you think that we have any alternative opposition party to the APC? Because people thought the PDP was going to be a very formidable opposition party. But some Nigerians are saying maybe they were not prepared to be in opposition.
You've spoken well. It's unfortunate the way things are going around in our country, Nigeria. It's just what I said. I wish we would learn how to start building our institutions very strong. Because most times you see an individual, we're sitting somewhere, giving orders, telling you this won't happen. And because maybe they feel they're affiliated to one place or the other, or maybe at the top you have everything so that you can get the judiciary. When you say this person sits here, nobody can remove them. A lot of things has really been going wrong. It's just like the last election. When I did my primary, after we did primary, some of them went to Labour, some went to other political parties just to come and spoil things for somebody. I am looking at it in a way that, we should build our institution very strong, that if you go here and contest and win, you don't have any reason to defect to another party. If you defect, you lose. Just take, for instance, the situation in Rivers State. Everybody saw it clearly in the television everywhere when these about 23 lawmakers defected. And at the end of the day, because they felt they have a godfather somewhere who can turn things around, and the judiciary till today have not made a pronouncement about that defection or what happens in Rivers State. And this is not nice. They came at the end of the day trying to put it to them, and they all said they didn't defect and all the rest of them. But in the eyes of Nigerians, in the eyes of people, everybody knew those lawmakers defected. But now today, because we don't have a strong institution, you see them going back now, holding back their positions, which in the normal course, all these people are meant to lose their seats. So I am praying for God Almighty and our leaders again to help, because it's not all about them today. They can make it today or work on it today to work for them. But are you thinking what is going to cost tomorrow for the younger people or the younger generation? Because any precedent we set today will definitely affect us at the end of the day. If it doesn't affect you today, what of your children, your children's children? You might do it, yes, let me do my turn and serve to make sure I'm in power. But would you ever ask yourself what consequence is going to cause the people coming after you or behind you? So that's the main one.
Right. So before we take this one, before we go for our first break for the show, I'd like to ask about your experience as a former PDP candidate in Imo State, House of Assembly. How was the contest? Would you say was it monetized a lot? Because people talk about money in politics. The last elections that produced 2023 that produced our current president. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we saw that the forms were sold for 100 million, and questions were asked about young people, young Nigerians in a country where minimum wage is at the time maybe 30,000. How will they be able to afford 100 million to want to serve their people? Maybe you just want to talk about your experience and how is it very easy for young Nigerians like yourself and a few other persons to want to serve their people?
Yeah, I think you've spoken well. For me, these are one of the problems we are talking about. You see, when you come to Nigerian politics, sometimes I look at it as if it's all about money bags. Because how could you sometimes we have our best hands out there, but most times you will see them setting out some rules or some policies that will make sure that it doesn't favor this person that doesn't have money. Trust me, I don't know why Nigeria at this time and stage, you know, who are still talking everything about politics should be money. And that's why we are not getting the best out of us. Because someone, you will see someone there that has nothing to offer. Because one way or the other, you've done one contract or one fraud or the other, you come in and you buy everybody and see, you know, before you see it tomorrow, you see yourself in a position of leadership. And while coming there, because you don't know what leadership is all about, you come in and for the rest of the 4 years or whatever you're going to serve, you will do nothing. So I am appealing, and I'm still talking to our leaders, just for the sake of this country, for the sake of this younger generation, we should start looking towards a way we can do things without putting money as everything. Because I can tell you today, there are good hands, good brains, you know, you can see out there. Just take for instance in this new party called ABC. This is P2B coming up to say, I am not going to do any primaries, because he knows that when it gets to primary, there are so many people there that are money bags. When it comes to pushing out additional money, you see them pushing out millions of dollars just to make sure they get the party ticket. But at the end of the day, you will see they are not the best to stand in for that election. But because they have a way or the culture or tradition how they get their ticket, you see them doing things the other way around. So likewise, you want to ask me about Imo. Yes, during our time in the last 2022 election, it was a really, you know, for me it has been, because probably because of the state chairman we had, Engineer Charles Ugbo, the former Minister of Commerce and Industry, because he's a very decent man, the way and manner he did his things. And they came, gave warning, nobody should push out any dime or any cover to anybody. And you see people moving out, campaigning, telling people, selling out what you have for the people, telling them, if I win, look at what I'm going to do for my people. Look at the things I will do for the party. Look at the things I'm going to say. Like personally, I told a lot of them there that if I win, there are a lot of things I know, because I'm going there as a legislator. And when I'm going as a legislator, it's just to make law. But I will make sure that I will put out the laws that will make things easy for the people, you know. And when I told them, told the younger generation, things like the laws I'm going to pass to make sure the bills I will push to make sure things are going to be fine for them. And they saw reasons and saw what I was saying, what I was saying. And all of them stood behind me. And before you could know it, I will enter for the primaries. And I won. Unfortunately, I was the first person with really to be declared the winner, because they started with my local government. I was the first person that all the television channels, AIT and everything, declared. And you know, because it was free and fair, open ballot. You go there, you vote, everybody. And there they brought out and counted the ballot paper. And I won my opponents, and all of them congratulated the media, because it was free and fair. And how I wish Nigerians will learn from that, you know, to help our country.
All right, okay. Thank you so much. Honorable Chika Okafor is a former Imo State PDP House of Assembly candidate. We go for our first break tonight on the show. When we come back, we'll keep looking at Nigeria's democracy as we work towards a free and fair election and a country that will be safe and nice for all Nigerians. Let's go for this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk, a program where we discuss political issues about Nigeria and how to move this country forward. Tonight on the show, we have Honorable Chika Okafor joining us. He is a former PDP Imo State House of Assembly candidate, as we talk about Nigeria's democracy and how we can actually get to a place where we have free, fair, credible elections in our country. Elections when people will not complain. Is that kind of election possible? I don't think it is, because even in the most advanced democracies, after elections and results are announced, people have the right to complain. It is actually one of the fundamental rights that human beings have. But let's look at the Southeast now, your region, where you are from. And there's been a lot of talks about a marginalization, that the Southeast are marginalized when we look at politics nationally. I'd like to hear your views about that.
Okay, let me digress a little about what you said. There is you can never, even in the Western world, after election. I don't agree totally with you, because just like, for instance, when Goodluck Jonathan did the election, he accepted defeat very well. I wish everybody would start reasoning or seeing things the way Goodluck Ebele Jonathan did. You know, he came after everything, not going to court. He accepted it with every good faith. And you see, there was no court case from any angle. He saw it and took it with very good faith. And because he's a Democrat, and he did well there. That's one on that area. Coming to my own area or Southeast, yes. You know, even the blind have seen that, yes, we are marginalized. So nobody, I don't need to, it's not because I'm from that region, you know. Since 96, after independence till today, I don't know why, after the war, you know, all our brothers from every other part of the country never believed us. I don't know, every time they feel when you give an Igbo man opportunity, before you could know he will turn or he will divide this country. It's quite far from the truth. I don't know why they don't want to allow Igbos to come at least to. So it's after since they have been the one ruling, and you've seen how Nigeria has been. I didn't say they are not doing well, but I mean, sometimes when you call yourself one Nigeria, you believe in one Nigeria, you shall allow others to at least to come. You guys have tried, so every part of the country has really, you know, enjoyed this position called the presidency. It's just the Igbo man that has not. And it's as if that's why, it's just like, sorry, I'm going to digress a little. That's the problem that I think when Nnamdi Kanu came on board. That was one of the factors, one of the main thing he came. Nnamdi Kanu never came to divide this country. At the beginning, I remember very well, all he was asking is for good governance, to give equal opportunity to every citizen of Nigeria. You know, at the beginning, it was even our governors, he was fighting to tell them that whatever that is coming from, they should make sure it gets to grassroots, move to the local government, and the people should feel at least they have government. I know when they were having the meeting in Enugu and SNV and all the rest, all he was crying to make sure they bring the dividends of democracy in the Southeast and do all this is. And when he now saw that maybe these our brothers from all the part of are not with us, all they are doing.
But there are questions about those issues being national issues, that they are not just centered on one region. Because if you look at issues of bad governance, do we not have, it is alleged that we have bad governance across board, across all zones and all regions in Nigeria?
Brother, you know, if we want to tell ourselves the truth, let's tell ourselves the truth. Just look at how the federal, if you come international airport, there's none in there. You saw when they were doing the railway, none came to the Southeast. Today they are talking about the Lagos Calabar High Coastal Way. None of them came to the Southeast. A lot of things. If when we see,
but the Minister of Works is from the Southeast.
Well, I wouldn't know. He could be under somebody's, payroll or whatever, under somebody's this instruction. You know, for me, it's not about, you could be from Southeast, but when your master tell you, look at what to do, because maybe you think whatever that you're getting is coming to your pocket, you don't want to do the wish or the will of a particular zone, and which is very bad. A lot of things. Since the inception of this country, you know, you see, except when Goodluck Jonathan came, he made an Igbo man chief of staff. I mean, by Irejika, sorry, yes. You say, since then, no other part of this country has come or has come to see, say, an Igbo man is suitable or is deemed fit to be on that position. IG of police, when can you tell me an Igbo man has modeled that position?
All right. So
Customs and all the rest of them. You know, I mean, the equity and justice is not playing out in Nigeria.
Right.
And that has been the cry of Nnamdi Kanu. And they said he's this, he's that. But I mean, if what things we are really going as supposed, trust me, all these clamoring for this thing wouldn't have been coming up.
Right. So, but people also ask questions. Will we ever go to a place in Nigeria where people can even contest elections, and we could have leaders and nobody talks about this leader is from this place, and we've had for 20, 50 years, nobody talks about the leader is from the north, is from the south, is a Christian, he's not a Christian. Can we ever grow to have that one nation where, yes, we are different people, but nobody now talks about this complexity as to who is leading and to what is not functioning in the country?
Yeah, you know, like, well, it's a good question, yeah. But, you know, like during Jonathan, we nearly got it, because during Jonathan wasn't tribalistic. He was appointing everybody from every section of the country, trying to do things the right way and not the rest of it. Not that he was perfect. I wouldn't say he was 100% perfect on what he was doing. But I think during his tenure, he looked at the north and asked what is the grassroots problem from the north that is causing all this insecurity and things that are not, and you know, why things are not really going normal in that place. Now he came up sending people to find out, to know exactly what their problem is. I felt most times, you know, all these are elites, all they know is just to gather money, maybe giving them peanut and everything, making them not to go to school. He went there, established Amajiri schools to make sure, to see all those things, to cushion those in fact, to make sure these boys will grow up and believe in themselves and come out and join the society and contribute their own quotas. That's Jonathan for you. He never said, hey, because he wasn't from that side of the country. You saw him being neutral and doing things the way it was supposed to. He came, he had the right even to go to South or to appoint the chief of army staff, but he never looked there. He went to Igbo land, you know, southeast of the country, and appointed the Hejika for many years that will not, you know, smell or experience having a chief of army staff from that area. As he said, nothing has happened. You saw Buhari come in all throughout Buhari 8 tenure. None of the none of his chief came from the southeast. And yeah, I thank Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the little he gave, though not really balanced, but I mean, it's better than
the chief of naval staff is from the southeast.
Yes, that's what I said from Enugu. Yeah, just that's why I say I thank him somehow, but not if you want to talk normally how things are meant to be. See, I don't want to go there. This is not what you asked, but I mean, if you see the appointment and everything, the way it went, you will laugh, you will be amazed, you know. But that's not what we're here to do.
So having a country where nobody even talks about where you are from. For instance, you are in Abuja. You could contest elections in Abuja, and you don't necessarily have to go to Imo to find for offices. Will that kind of Nigeria be possible? And what do you think are some of the things we can do to make that possible?
Yeah, like I said, it's still one thing that could make those things work. If we try to build our institution very strong, right. You know, nobody will look, you're from here, you're from this religion or this other religion, you're from this tribe or you know, if we start trying to do things well, and I think it's one of the things, though, not that because of this from the Southeast, what Obi is trying to preach. He said, don't vote for me because you feel I'm from this part of the world, I'm a Christian on this. Vote for me based on my credibility, what you think I am, and things I think I can offer. You know, and these are things the way I want people to start seeing things. Not because you feel you're from here, you want to, you know, because you want to favor your tribe people, you want to do this, and maybe because you feel you're from Yoruba land and you felt maybe your brother who is there is not doing well, you won't want to say that the person is not doing well. Okay, take for instance the last administration when Buhari was there. He was appointing, doing all kinds of appointment, everything, doing this. And most of my Abuja brothers never said anything about it. But today, they are the ones crying foul play that Tinubu is just carrying on his Lagos boys and doing this. But when this thing was happening there, none of them, even in the Senate, came out and cried foul play. But today, because they feel it is against them, you see all of them crying, shouting. I mean, they set it and they set the precedent, and Tinubu has come to perfect it. So for me, I'm not worried. Right.
Yeah. Even though the president has put out statistics that his appointments have been almost 50% to the north and 50% to the south. People could, you know, look at that, but that statistics has already been put out by the president. But let's look at 2027 elections now.
Yeah.
There are, of course, the president's Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not declared that he will be contesting, but from a lot of feelers, it seems he will be contesting again in 2027. And we have the ADC being set up with the likes of Atiku Abubakar, Nasir El-Rufai, Rotimi Amechi, and we even saw Peter Obi and Babati Ahmed during, the inaugural meeting. And the Labour Party is still there, a party that got 6 million votes, and wild Nigerians. I like that you talk about where do you think the pendulum will swing? And the PDP is also talking top that we are rebuilding our party, and the elective convention we have in Ibadan will lead us towards 2027. I like that you share your thoughts with us concerning where you think Nigerians may likely swing to in 2027.
Yeah, thank you. For me, actually, 2027 is pregnant. Yeah. Nobody knows what is going to give us birth by 2027. Yeah, it's just like what you asked me about the nomination of the INEC chairman. I don't know. You saw what happened in the last election. I'm not going to comment there. But I pray that we'll do things differently this time around. But if not, trust me, all these things will be, all work in futility. So I pray we'll have a different measures or different way of doing things about this coming 2027. But for me, it's not about who is there, who is going to come in on board. What is their agenda? What do they have on board for Nigerians? You see how everybody's crying, hunger everywhere. Imagine the so-called capital of the nation. Everywhere, breaking houses, carried, just like my house 2 days ago. Thieves came there, carried everything, because it's hunger. Carried all the 3 generators, about 4 generators in my compound. Broke in, everybody, my security were sleeping, everybody. They came in, barged in. You heard what happened in Arise the other day. The lady that worked with Arise, or Somto, you saw how they went to their compound in a 3-story building apartment, robbed everybody. They killed the security man, killed the woman, getting to the hospital. Nobody could attend to them and the rest of them. Is as a result of our leaders. Because if things really were going well, imagine a man having a family of 2, 3, 4 children. At the end of the day, you wake up in the morning, your children are crying for food and all the rest of them. No, that doesn't mean that I'm supporting them to do these evil things. And the only way they have is just to go out there to start, stealing or carrying people things. That's the only thing they will do. But if actually our leaders look at how the people are suffering and try to put things, get policies that will make things work for the people, I don't think all those things will, minimize. It will come down to the barest minimum. But when you see people are going hungry, sometimes they have this pattern of how to make people vote for them. They will come, make sure people go hungry, and at the end of the day, when they show you money, you go and vote against your conscience. And these have been the APC's way, right, from the 2015 till date, And I am calling on government. It's not just all about you today. Are you still thinking about the future of this country? Are you thinking about the future of your children, your generation, born and unborn? What is going to be of them tomorrow if you don't say things to start working well? Sometimes it's not just all about our selfish interests. What happens tomorrow if you're no more there tomorrow? So from what you said, either ADC, my party PDP, or this is not what agenda, what do we have for the poor Nigerians? Look at fuel. They told us when they remove subsidy, things will be better. This will happen. They deflated the naira. Till today, nothing is really working. Go to market today, everything I have very high. You can't just say anything for yourself. You can't even, if you buy this thing at 2 naira to this minute, the next minute you can't even say what is going to be the next minute. So we are praying, we are pleading to the government, please. They should come up to see what they can do. Put some, policies that could make things, ease this hardship from the people.
But also, in fairness to the government, right? A report was published, and my colleague actually did a report, went to the market. Some prices of things has actually come down. Things like bag of rice now for 60-something thousand. This was something like some months ago we used to get it for 80-something thousand, and even a container of tomato. She did that very beautiful report and actually, showed that some things have actually also come down. In fairness to the government, and the government also talked about how they've done investment and how subsidy was eating Nigeria. And when you talk about that the APC, just to put things into context now, that the APC it was under in 2015. Was the APC in power in 2015? They were not in power. The PDP was in power in 2015.
I didn't talk about hunger in 2015. Remember when Goodluck was there, the bag of rice was 7,000 plus, if I'm not mistaken. Okay.
But what was the minimum wage? It was 18,000
by that time, yeah, I think so, yeah. But talking about rice coming down, tomato coming down. Trust me, the main thing we are talking here is how to solve the root effect of all these things. Yeah. It's not just going to open the border, bringing in rice, flooding it, and they bring the prices of rice, just like how they did in dollar the last time. They brought dollar, borrowed money, cushioned the effect of dollar. Before you could know it will still went up again. The truth is this. Nigeria, we need to start thinking how to can turn to a productive country, not going to buy or import and all the rest of them. Yes, they flood in rice, flood in tomatoes from, there was the ones when they closed the border, the ones that were seized by the customs and everything, they just release everything, trying to make sure all these things enters the country so that they can cushion the effect of this thing. But for me, it's not about cushioning the effect, it's to solve the root problem of all these things, to make sure that it will have a long-lasting solution, not coming, opening border, bringing in rice, and we feel rice has come down. Okay, imagine a bottle of dispenser I buy for 1,300, as of last week. No, I went to buy today and they tell me at 1,500. And wow, is it now? I even have to ask them what's really happening. They will tell you Nigeria factor. So that has been the problem.
So as we round up the conversation now, I'd like to ask Honorable Chika, any plans for 2027 from your end? Will we be seeing you? I know the campaigns are not open, but maybe you just want to give us an open-ended answer.
For me, I don't want to say anything, because our Nigerian politicians we are known to say one thing and do another thing at the end of the day. I might tell you today I don't want to run tomorrow. Before things you could know, things might change tomorrow. I decide I will now change my mind, decide to go around. But I'm just still praying, looking at God to speak to me. If I look at it and seeing the atmosphere, seeing if things are really going to be well through the new INEC chairman that is coming, because like you said, I've run the election for 3 groups consecutive times. I've been the ABGA candidate for Imo 2 times, 2014, 2019. I ran under Senator Ifeanyi Ararumi as a governorship candidate. In 2014, I ran under Captain Emmanuel Ihanacho as his House of Assembly. I won the ticket. I was their candidate. And the last one, I was under Senator Samuel Anyanwu as their gubernatorial candidate in Imo. So if really I am not going to see all these normal things they do, if things are really going to change this time around, I might decide to run. I might decide to go for a bigger position, but I don't know. I am for now, I'm still minding my business to see how I grow them. But
you are still a member of the PDP. Will you be leaving the PDP soon to the ADC as other politicians are?
Like I said, I wouldn't want to be these people that will say they won't be minister, they can't be this, and at the end of the day, see them being it. I'm not going to say this, but I am still looking at.
For now, you are a PDP member.
For now, I am PDP, but if anything happens tomorrow, I will let you people know, and let the will of God, perfect will. And I pray for God Almighty to look after Nigeria, make us to start thinking the right way and do things right for at least, if not for any other thing, for our younger generation.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chika Okafor, a former PDP Imo State House of Assembly candidate. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We really do appreciate you, and we wish you all of the best.
Thank you for
as you will continue on the path to serving your people.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. And I must congratulate you people. You guys are coming up strong, and the way your television station is going, I believe in the nearest future, it will be one of the, good things for Nigeria. Thank you very, very much for having me.
All right. Thank you, people. And that's our size of the show for tonight. As I always say, Nigeria is our country, and we must keep loving this country. Love Nigeria and act right. My name is Ubomusari in Abuja, and I'm saying bye for now.